The billionaire CEO sneered, daring the poor mechanic to fix a McLaren engine that his top engineers declared impossible. But as the man rolled up his sleeves, the CEO noticed something: a faded military tattoo on his forearm. What happened next left the billionaire speechless and shattered every assumption he had. What happens next? Let's start the story. The roar of engines echoed through the sleek halls of Velocity Motors, a showroom that catered only to the world's elite. Chrome reflected perfection, and price tags whispered numbers that most people could never fathom. Standing at the center of it all was Richard Caldwell, a billionaire CEO known for his ruthless business empire and arrogant disdain for those beneath his status. His pride and joy: a custom McLaren prototype, a car with an engine so advanced it hadn't even hit the market yet, sat lifeless in the corner, broken beyond what his own engineers could comprehend. "No one touches that engine," Richard scoffed, pacing, glaring at his staff. "Not unless you're ready to ruin your career failing." His top engineers hung their heads, having already failed after weeks of trying. It wasn't just broken, it was an engineering nightmare. Enter James Walker, a local mechanic wearing grease-stained overalls and carrying nothing more than a basic toolbox. His shop was across town, a rundown garage where he fixed busted-up pickup trucks and worn-out sedans. James had come by delivering a part when he overheard the commotion. Curiosity drew him closer. "What's the problem?" he asked casually, eyeing the dead supercar. Laughter erupted. One of the engineers snorted, "As if you'd understand." Another chimed in, "It's a hypercar engine with hybrid twin-turbo tech paired with experimental AI diagnostics. Not exactly something you fix with duct tape and luck." Richard folded his arms, a condescending grin spreading. "Tell you what, grease monkey, I'll give you a shot." He gestured dramatically toward the McLaren. "Fix it. If you can bring this engine back to life, I'll give you $50,000 on the spot." Laughter swept the room again. James, calm as a still pond, simply nodded. "And if I fail?" Richard smirked. "You walk out of here in front of everyone knowing you were in over your head. Deal?" James set his toolbox down, wiped his hands on a rag, and said, "Deal." As he approached the McLaren, Richard leaned closer, about to deliver another snide remark, until his eyes caught something. A tattoo on James's forearm, partly hidden under his rolled-up sleeve. It was an insignia. Not just any insignia. It was the mark of the U.S. Navy SEALs, Special Operations Aviation Team. Richard's smirk faltered. Only men who had completed some of the most grueling training in the world wore that, and even fewer made it to the Specialized Aviation Mechanics Unit, a group tasked with maintaining, modifying, and sometimes rebuilding multi-million-dollar aircraft in combat zones, often under enemy fire. "You military?" Richard asked, his voice quieter now. James didn't look up. Once. His hands were already moving, scanning, listening to the subtle pings and silences of the machine. "Retired. 15 years in. 2 tours in Afghanistan. 1 in Iraq. My job was to fix Black Hawks that got shot down in the middle of combat, usually with nothing but salvaged parts, duct tape, and sand blowing in my face." The room fell unnervingly silent. The engineers shifted uncomfortably. Richard swallowed, but quickly masked it with a cough. "Well, this isn't a helicopter. Let's see what you got." James didn't answer. He slid under the car, eyes tracing the blueprint in his mind. His hands moved like muscle memory, testing, tightening, listening. "Your problem," he said from beneath the chassis, "isn't the gearbox like your diagnostics claim." A pause. "It's the thermal regulator in the hybrid intake system. It's overcompensating because your AI sensors are misaligned by 0.003 millimeters." The engineers blinked. That's not possible," one stammered. James slid back out, grabbing a small calibration tool. "Possible or not, it's true." He pulled out a wire, realigned the sensors by hand, a job machines couldn't finesse due to the precision needed. Then he cracked open the secondary valve, adjusted a bypass that none of the designers even knew existed, and recalibrated the onboard computer manually. Sweat beaded on Richard's temple as he watched, no longer amused. Within 30 minutes, James wiped his hands, shut the hood, and climbed into the driver's seat. A second later, the McLaren's engine roared, Not sputtered, not coughed, but roared to life with a crisp, flawless growl that sent vibrations through the showroom floor. The sound was pure, perfect, undeniable. Gasps filled the room. Richard stared slack-jawed. His engineers looked at each other in utter disbelief, realizing that this poor mechanic had just outperformed a team of the best-paid specialists in the industry. James stepped out, wiping his hands like it was just another Tuesday. Fix. Richard, swallowing his pride, pulled out his wallet, thumbing through stacks of cash. I believe I owe you $50,000. But James shook his head. Keep it. Richard blinked. What? I didn't do it for the money. James said simply. I did it to remind you. The title, a degree, a billion-dollar company doesn't mean anything without respect. Some of the smartest, toughest, most capable people you'll ever meet don't wear suits. The room was dead silent. But, James added, tossing a business card onto Richard's polished desk, if you ever need a real mechanic, you know where to find me. As James walked out of the showroom, heads turned, people whispered, and respect followed him like a shadow. The billionaire, once arrogant and dismissive, stood frozen, watching the man disappear through the glass doors. For the first time in years, Richard Caldwell felt something unfamiliar: humility. A few months later, that same billionaire invested in rebuilding James's garage into a state-of-the-art community auto shop, offering free training for veterans transitioning back into civilian life. And whenever someone asked Richard how it started, he'd smile, shake his head, and say, "All because I dared the wrong mechanic."